in listen-only mode.
Hi, good evening, and welcome to the 10th day of Commitmas. My name is Chris Williams. I will be your host tonight. Tonight we have Kyle Ruddy, who is on Twitter at KMRuddy, and we are going to be talking about, wait, I screwed up something and need to roll back. As always, the quick notes are we are at hashtag vBrownbag. You can follow us on Twitter at vBrownbag. We also have a hashtag for Commitmas, hashtag Commitmas, and also the Twitter handle of @Commitmas. Recorded episodes are at bit.ly/Commitmas2, and the GitHub repo is github.com/Commitmas/30 days of Commitmas 2015. So with all of that being said, let me turn everything over to Mr. Ruddy. Kyle, you still there?
Yep, still here.
Okay, cool. And 3, 2. You now have presentation rights, sir.
Awesome. Can you see
Cool.
my screen?
I can see your screen, yes.
Very cool. All right. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to learn some new stuff. Little introduction about myself. My name is Kyle Ruddy. I can be found on Twitter at KMRuddy. I blog at thatcouldbeaproblem.com. And I'm also on GitHub, since this is all GitHub based and focused, at github.com/KMRuddy.
Nice.
Details are up on the screen. So to give a little bit of background about myself, I'm essentially a former Windows admin that has taken up PowerShell hardcore. And as part of taking that up and then trying to get into scripting and then even getting further into it and sharing my scripts, that's how I got into using GitHub. So the topic around today has been kind of interesting because it's something that I never had to use before, because I was that guy that would pull up GitHub and I would literally copy the entirety of whatever script that I was putting into GitHub, and I would do, a replace and paste. Not exactly the way that you want to do it, but really at the time it was all I knew. So Commitmas was one of those things that really helped me out to push myself to learn more, and so on and so forth. So tonight what we're covering is essentially the undo, the Control Z of the Git world. So to start off, I'll go out to my my GitHub repo, show you the file that we're going to be messing with tonight. It is called gittest.ps1 in my PowerShell repo. We can, it's the GitHub client there, which I am entirely new to. However, most of tonight will be done by command line. We'll be using the GUI as more of a show and tell. So here's my local repo. The git test file is out there. First off, let's do a git status to verify that everything's in sync and everything's working to the master branch. According to this, we are up to date. Working directory is clean. So let's go ahead and make a modification here to the local file here. Type in a right host just of miscellaneousness. So what we've added is essentially in PowerShell, it'll say this is a GitHub client test followed by a Commitmas test line. So with that saved, we can now go out to our Git client and do another status. And now we can see that a file has been changed. So it's saying that gittest.ps1 has been modified. We can also verify this if you do have a client on your system. In this case, yes, I'm using Windows. Disclaimer, old Windows guy. So we can see that, hey, this is what there was. This is what it's adding. However, say at this point, that's not what you wanted to save out there. You didn't want to really update that. That was just a test. An autosave happened, or something else happened that you didn't really want. So to remove that line, we can go back and it kind of shows you the cheat in your command window there, where you can do a git checkout -- and the file name, which again, this is git test. So we've checked it back out. That should have discarded the changes. Do another git status in that directory, and we are all back up to date. If we go back to the client, we can see that the changes are now gone. They've disappeared, no longer exist. And for the final sanity check, Notepad++ is now saying, hey, it's been modified. Do you want to reload it? So in this case, you reload it, line is gone, it's been reverted back to its initial point. So that's how you do an undo on some of the local repos. However, what happens if you actually do a commit and you push it out to your main repo that's out there in GitHub land? So let's again go back in, put in something that means something. So another right host of Commitmas test number 2. Again, verified. It does say that it's been modified. It's ready to be issued out there. The GitHub client is also saying that the change has been referenced. So let's do a commit on this. Right now, what I'm typing is a note. So with the commit done, we have not yet pushed anything out. So what I was trying to illustrate there with the browser window there was that our main file has not yet changed out in GitHub. So now we will do another git status just to verify. It says, now our local branch is ahead of our master branch by 1 commit. Please publish. And to do that is just git push. That will take just a second as it pushes it out to our master branch. You can tell right there that it's going out and saying, hey, we're pushing this to GitHub Kyle Ruddy PowerShell.git, which is what my repo is. That's the synced repo. So at this point, should be able to do a refresh out in GitHub, and we can now see that Commitmas test number 2 has been added to the file, to the script. So now that that's actually been published out there, you realize that, that's not what you wanted to do. That was the wrong thing. Maybe there's a typo. Something's got to be done before somebody else uses it. Massive hysteria, cats and dogs living together, things of that nature. So you can do a git show on the file name. This is going to be able to get you some additional information that you're going to need. Git test. So in this case, what we need to do a revert command is we need the full SHA, which is located at the very top here, right next to the commit. And you can tell that, it goes through, it gives you a lot more information about what all happened. So it basically shows the same thing that was in the GitHub client, saying that, it removed that line and added the 2 other lines. So now, to actually revert it, do a git revert, and then the SHA. And it's going to ask me for some kind of notice or some kind of notes. Please remove me. So with that run, you see that it hasn't quite been removed yet, at least out in GitHub land, but it has been removed from your local repo. So your local repo is now at the place that you want it to be. So to go back through and reestablish the connection between the two to make sure that everything is up to date, both your local repo and your GitHub repo, do a git push. Going to make all the changes there. You can see that it went back through. Do a git status. That's showing that we are now back up to date everywhere. Everything is now in sync. Do a refresh out in GitHub, and the script is now back to its original intended status. So we've now shown how we can make a modification and revert it to a local repo, as well as going back and doing the revert to the public GitHub repo as well. And that is pretty much all I've got. Did anybody have any questions, or did I go too fast? Anything I might have left out? Also checking the Twitterverse here. Doesn't look like too much is showing up so far.
Just me. Hold on. Callum. Nope. This is an iterative Q&A session, guys. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to pipe up.
And since this is being recorded, you can always feel free to hit me up on Twitter, or go out and mess around with some of my my repos that are out there. There's some cool stuff. There's both PowerShell and PowerCLI stuff out there.
Nice. I need to start using GitHub to put my PowerShell stuff up.
It's pretty nice, and it's really easy to share stuff with it. So for some of my blog posts, I can actually reference the GitHub-based posting, or in this case, the gist. And every time I update the gist, it updates my blog. So it's pretty cool as far as being a blogger goes.
Oh, that is nice. Cool. Well, doesn't look like we have any further questions.
Awesome. Short and to the point.
You know what? We covered it. If anybody wants to watch it, they can review your massive Git skills from the recording.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to say thank you to everybody for attending, and I will go ahead and stop the recording now.
Awesome.